Welcome to Follow Your Joy podcast, where intuition is the doorway to your elevated creativity, more joy, and prosperity. I'm your host, Marla Diane, and I've been living an intuitive life for decades as a creative. That translates to transforming creative entrepreneurs' lives for over 27 years through two businesses as a business strategist and a life designer. And prior to that, an entertainment publicist and talent manager. Follow Your Joy is an entrepreneurial resource for creatives sharing their challenge to victory stories through the lens of listening to their intuition. It's time to make joy your inner GPS for life and business decisions rather than lean on your logic and reason first. You'll not only be following what is most authentic for you, but you will live the beautiful life meant just for you. Want to learn how to access, trust, or up-level your intuition? Join me in the conversation to find out how. Welcome back. Follow Your Joy. Here we are. So, we are going to take a unique deep dive into what intuition is, what it isn't, and very unique ways to access it with my expert guest today. So a very warm welcome to Dina Berrin from New York City.
Yay! Thank you so much, Marla. It's great to be here with you.
You're welcome. And you even have New York City in your background
Yes,
there it is.
There you go. You can see it a little bit bigger there. Yes.
Love. I mean, I absolutely love visiting New York. I couldn't live there, but man, I love going there so much. And I love New Yorkers. You're so full of heart.
They are full of heart. I think New Yorkers get a bad rap because everybody's busy. They're all going places, but they'll help you out. They'll hold a door. They'll give you directions, but they're just not looking to chat it up on the street. So I feel like people are they're succinct. They move quickly, but New Yorkers are full of heart. I do agree.
I mean, I experienced that the first time I went there. And I was so, wow. And then the next time I went was, I don't know, a couple years later. And it just, everything about it, just to me, of course, it's also in me, so I'm going to recognize it, but it's very passionate. It's very passionate. It's very full of heart. Are there people that are abrupt and yeah. But the ones that just the overall feeling of the city and the people, it's just like this passion. I love it.
Great energy.
Love it. Okay, my dear. So I really resonate with a statement that Dina has shared with me. And it's this. Remember, we're talking about intuition. She says, this realization shaped my work that we don't lack intuition. We've just gotten out of the habit of listening to it. Hello, everybody. I know you've heard me say this many times, but I love to hear it from obviously someone else, is that she says, when you start to shift that, right, even a little, everything can begin to change. At its heart, what she does is help people trust what they already know. Okay, right? Intuition. And here's what's so important, everybody. Listen to this. And find the courage to follow it. One of the biggest pieces of courage you can do, which I know you've heard from me many times, is follow and listen and trust your intuition, even if it feels off, scary. It's not meant to ever to harm you. Right? That's your ego mind. That's the barking dog, as Sonia Choquette says. It's your ego mind afraid of change. And it's not logical. And intuition is never logical. Ever. Right? So let me give you then a proper introduction, my dear. So Dina Berrin is an intuitive guide and certified life coach, author, and deeply trained in coaching and the art of helping people hear themselves, right, and create meaningful change. She holds a PCC, and asked her what this meant, and CPCC credentials, which essentially mean Certified Professional Co-Active Coach. That's the CPCC. And the PCC is a professional certified coach under the ICF, label or campus, I should say. Okay, and but more importantly, as she says, is she guides people back, hello, to their own wisdom. We have this beautiful, incredible wisdom in us that the outside world could never touch, never touch. Yeah. So she helps people reconnect with themselves, especially in the moments when life feels off or you sense it's time for a change, right? Hello, new chapters, reinvention, right? But you can't hear your own inner voice, right? So today you're going to hear some very fascinating ways that her approach that it tends to be very uniquely integrative, okay, uniquely integrative. So let's jump in. Okay. All right, my dear Dina. So let's start with an impromptu question, and then I want to hear, a little bit of a backstory on you. What does follow your joy mean to you?
So well, first I wanted to say, following your joy, like I sometimes think that people misunderstand joy. I think that people think that being joy in your joy means that you have to be happy all the time. But it doesn't. Like sometimes following your joy means letting go or disappointing somebody or saying no or starting over. And it's not always comfortable.
Mm-mm.
So for me, what following my joy means is being in alignment. So life and truth are no longer separate. It's when you stop performing in a life and start making it work. So it feels like it's your own. So joy isn't about perfection or comfort. It's
Mm-mm.
about intuitively leading yourself to a place that feels authentic and grounded and solid underneath your feet.
Ah, beautiful. Perfect.
Thank
That's
you.
exactly you described why I chose to name it that, because joy and intuition are locked together. Because it's our intuition that is telling us follow your joy. And if you're not in your joy, you better do something to change that.
Right.
And that's the uncomfortable stuff that you're talking about. And that's exactly it. It's alignment. Follow
Yeah.
your joy means be in alignment with where it's taking you, because success leaves clues, as in joy leaves clues. Listen to the joy, not the other side of that.
Not the
Don't push
noise.
through something that's not supposed to like be there. Follow the joy, right? And if you have to get yourself out of a situation that's not allowing you to follow your joy, that's the point. Let's put you in alignment and listen to your intuition to guide you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But I do think that sometimes, and maybe I'm gonna, maybe this is more of a woman thing, but I feel as though we have been raised to say yes, to kind of be a little bit more subservient or just like to not stir the pot or make a wave or make trouble, things like that. So a lot of times what we intuitively know to be true and what we actually decide to do are not the same thing. So what happens is from a very young age, a lot of times we are taught to not follow our intuition.
Yeah.
So sometimes when we get to a point, like a lot of times when I work with clients and I ask them, what is your relationship with your intuition?
Yeah.
Sometimes people look at me like I have three heads and they're like, what's that? But it's just because we've been taught for so long to not follow that. And I'm a big believer that intuition, like so many other things in our body and things that we do, is like a muscle. So if you don't use that muscle, it gets weak. So, and we could, like, for example, if you want to be a better writer, you have to write. And
All
sometimes
right.
you're going to do some bad writing until
Yeah.
you get to, the practice in. So the same thing with intuition. You
Yeah.
have to practice
Yeah.
using it in order to make that muscle stronger.
That's amen. I mean, and these are the, excuse me, these are the things, in every session with every client, being that that's part of what I coach, is a feminine-led life with a blend of masculine, right? So it's you need we all need both. But how we've been trained, not fault of anybody, but how we've been trained in society, it's all about logic. It's all about from the neck up. It's all about linear and logical and all of that ego mind stuff.
Yes,
And
yes. And
that's why I'm like standing on the rooftops going, no, please. I'm an advocate for listen to your intuition first. It's not a sixth sense, it's a first sense, right? And then allow the what I call the masculine, right, of life, not a gender, allow to guide you into the actions that you need to follow through with from the guidance you got. Not the other way around, because the other way around, like we were talking before, is that when our ego mind gets in there, the way the
yeah.
brain operates, it's just our brain, it's how it's wired.
Hmm.
It wants to hijack that. It's going to throw
Yeah.
out the logic and the practicality and, oh, don't do that, and the fear and the worry and the doubt. There's no room for that with intuition. Intuition's not any one of those, especially logic.
Right. But I think that sometimes people have a hard time distinguishing the
Yeah,
difference between anxiety and intuition.
yeah. Yeah, and
And
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about for both of us, our
sure.
perception, right? And what we know since we, mentor this is that there's a difference. This is what I say is because this gets asked a lot. When intuition is telling you, this is one of many ways I answer it. When intuition is telling you to do something and it feels scary or it feels like, oh, I don't know, but there's an excitement with it,
Yes.
that's intuition. When it's pure fear, pure anxiety, and you're in this you're paralyzed or something less than that, that's not intuition.
Right. I agree. Like I say that fear feels urgent.
Yeah.
Like you feel like an alarm is going off inside of you. And and intuition is more clear.
It's
It's and so fear
calm.
wants like right, exactly. Fear wants certainty, but intuition is asking for courage.
Yeah. Oh, beautiful. Love that. That's it.
So that's how I feel the difference
That's
is
it.
it.
And
And it's a
courage.
feeling. It's a feeling. It is like, so am I feeling fear? Like,
Yeah.
that, and we all know that fear, that feeling of fear. And when you move into that feeling of intuition, you really can tell the difference. You really can
Oh.
feel it.
And that's exactly is that intuition being that it's of the feminine, and that's how I kind of I frame it in feminine, masculine, right? Again, no gender. Is that the feminine is from the neck down, it's the body. And that's where the intuition lies. Our intuition's not in our head. Our head helps, translate what's going on, but it never resides or originates in the head. It's always the body, right?
Yes.
Always the body. So when you listen to the body and you listen, you ask the intuition, okay, whether it's a positive or a not so positive feeling, like, okay, what are you trying to tell me? What you ask your heart versus your head, you're going to get two
Mhm.
different answers.
And I think that women very often, I mean, I know that I relate to this, is that women want to feel safe.
Hmm.
So my intuition is helping me. Like if I tune into my body and I feel where I'm relaxing or where I'm like the thought of something makes my changes my breath and makes me feel a little bit more grounded as opposed to the idea of like trying to logically explain, or logically trying to solve something that may not,
Yeah,
ultimately end up with, a safe and happy ending for me, so to speak.
yeah. very much so.
Yeah,
The whole intuition, it's tricky only because, or I should say, only when you can't distinguish. The more you do it, like you said, the muscle, the more you do it, the more it's part of who you are, and you know the difference the more you use it.
it becomes second
Um,
nature.
it's just second nature. You know what's going on. Like I was sharing with you, earlier, yesterday when I felt what I was feeling in my body, I'm like, where is this coming from? Why am I feeling sad? Why am I, what is this about? And all day long I knew it was intuitive, but I kept asking like, why am I feeling sad today when I was fine yesterday?
Right.
And sure enough, something happened later that day that was literally made me sad. And I went, oh, thank you, intuition. You were kind of giving me a warning that there's something changed energetically and something's going to happen that's going to, temporarily cause you to feel sad and so forth. So yeah, you got to listen to it. Something else. Oh, that's right. Is the the discernment, I should say, discernment is again logic. It's always you're going to feel it. It's in your head. There's a difference in your head versus in your body.
Right.
The head, the brain, which we need, we love our brains, but man, it always wants in control. It always wants, like you said, security. It doesn't like change. It wants
Hmm.
predictability. And when you throw change in there, it's going to go, oh no. You throw out all the reasons why and the rationale and trying to be,
Right.
linear and functional and no, no, no. That's not your intuition.
Right. And that's why I say that very often we can get into what I call analysis paralysis because like our brains are just, we just keep processing it
Yeah.
until like it's almost like a math equation. Like it spits us out an answer that makes sense. And then, it's a little bit more robotic. It's a
Yeah,
little bit more it's not using what I call our spidey senses.
it's true. Very, very true. Okay, so tell us, give us a little highlights of your journey. That
Yes.
brought you where you are today. Just highlights because we have a lot more to talk about. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the crux of it is that I worked in corporate sales for a long time, and actually what I sold was staffing, and I sold staffing in the arena of medical and nursing. So the thing is, hospitals and medical facilities like that never close. They're open 24/7, and therefore like when I was placing people in jobs, and they would like urgently need a nurse or urgently need, whatever it is they needed,
Wow.
they would call me, and so I felt as though I was always on call. I was, and it seemed like, late nights, weekends, like dealing with emergencies during holidays. And in the world of sales, like, if you want to have a client, you have to be available for your client.
Yeah.
And if you're not available well, they'll find somebody else, to do the job. So basically what I did is I built my life around being dependable and helpful. And I believe that I was doing the right thing, but somewhere in that thought process, I got very far away from myself. And I began to make choices because they felt urgent, not because
Mhm.
they felt like they were right for me. And I
Yeah.
was saying yes when I wanted to say no. And I was ending up feeling exhausted and I was feeling resentful. And I felt like, here I was helping others make decisions, but I was doubting my own.
Yeah.
Because like this was the real problem because underneath the surface, the core issue, like I knew that this job it was just it had like kind of taken over my entire life, and it was spilling over into my family. It was spilling over into like every area of my life, and it was making like not only me but other people that I cared about unhappy because I was stressed a lot of the time. And interestingly, what and I felt like things were coming to a head, but when everything really kind of hit a point was COVID.
Yeah.
And so what happened was
Yeah.
everything slowed down.
Yep.
And then what happens is because when you keep yourself busy, you're not always like, I don't have time. Like, for example, like I'm like a master of like ignoring myself during lunchtime. It's like, you know what? I know I'm hungry, but I don't have time right now because I have to send these emails and I have to make these phone calls. I'll get lunch when that's done, kind of thing. So I just kind of like ignore myself.
Mm.
And what happened during COVID, it was like when things slowed down, you couldn't do that anymore. You couldn't avoid the elephant that was in the room. And I had to admit that the life that I had built no longer fit who I was at this time. And, I'm not saying that change came like a lightning bolt because, COVID was a mess for a lot of people, but it opened up a lot of eyes. And it just interestingly, so COVID happened in 2020, obviously, but I had started getting my coaching certifications in 2018.
Ah.
So I was already kind of moving in a direction.
Mhm.
And honestly, I started to fully embrace, like I've always had an interest in tarot, in numerology, astrology. I
Mhm.
mean, I've been doing this for as long as I can remember. And these tools have really helped me understand myself and others that I'm working with for years. And at this point, like I felt like I had hit, I guess what they call like that metaphorical fork in the road. So when here I was at home, I have three children and I had three kids in Zoom school, and I had a boss that, wanted me to continue selling and working at the level that I had been, but everything had changed. So I couldn't continue to be that person that I was before all these things happened. So this is kind of what began my shift from working in a corporate setting where I was working all the time for other people and kind of giving up my own feelings for what was right for me. And I began
Mhm.
to reconnect with myself. And now my work is about helping women reconnect with themselves, trusting their inner wisdom, and breaking free from living life on autopilot, which I can absolutely relate to
Yeah.
for quite some time.
Yeah.
So it didn't happen all at once, but I feel like I did leave my job during COVID and I have not looked back.
Oh, beautiful. So yeah, I mean, it got to the point, and this is also what goes on with reinvention and new chapters, is that when you listen, all right, when you stop and really, really listen to your body, to the frustration, to the resistance, to all the things you just explained, that's the time for really, really listening to your intuition. Same thing. I mean, I've listened to that intuitive nudge in every reinvention I've had, and especially career paths, right? Similar when I went from the entertainment, PR, excuse me, 20 years, fabulous, fabulous career, and then it wasn't anymore. And
Right.
the intuitive nudge was it, I mean, it's palpable. You're like, you're not passionate
Yes.
anymore. In
Hmm.
your case, you were kind of shut down. You were numb to your own needs and your own feelings, right? And it's like, okay, this is not okay anymore. And that's what also was going on with me. But it was softer. I wasn't frustrated. I didn't like doing what I had to. I was tired of pitching the media. I was just tired of being this run, 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 run all the time. But I wasn't passionate anymore.
And that
And
changes. That totally happens. And
it, yeah, it's your
and sometimes,
intuition.
yeah, and
Go.
sometimes we don't know exactly how that next, like I
Right.
know that you were saying you didn't even know what you were going to do next. Like it
Nope.
kind of just fell in your lap. And the thing is, sometimes our bodies tell us it's time to go, even if we don't have like the rest of the story figured out yet.
Oh no. Well, you know as well as I do that intuition comes in spurts. It comes, I call it, follow the yellow brick road, follow the breadcrumbs. You're only going to typically get the next step. You're not going to get the whole picture,
Right.
right?
Well,
You're
that's what you
only,
need to worry about. You just
yeah,
need the next step because what
that's right.
happens is if you plan too far down the road, you're going to hit other forks.
Right.
And the thing is, it's like you're going to probably have to rewrite your plan anyway. So just worry
Correct.
about the next step. And that's what I always say, to clients when they are feeling stuck or feeling like
Mhm.
they don't know. I'm like, you know what? You don't need to know the ending of this story. You just need to know one more step. Just
That's right.
decide what one logical next step should be, and then take that action.
And take that action from your intuition. So explain then your unique, since we're kind of on your story, and then we'll move into
Yeah.
another question. So what is this unique access that you use? What are your modalities that you
Yes.
use for accessing the intuition, which I know tarot cards is one of them.
Yes, yes. So it's funny. When I was like about 8 years old, my grandmother was very, I mean, always my grandmother was very into astrology. But when I was around 8 years old, she introduced it to me. And she would
Mm,
talk about people as if they were their astrological signs. And I
mm.
used to like walk around with like a clipboard being like, what does that mean? You know, what can you kind of, I would like, and I started kind
Art.
of like paying attention. Um, but then, then I went back to my life and I graduated high school and I went to college. And when I graduated from college, I have a degree in exercise physiology, and I was working at a hotel gym where, hotels were open 24/7. It was like another similar situation. Like I was working crazy hours,
Mm.
and the only people that left at a normal time when I was working at this hotel gym were going to a class. And I
Yeah.
thought to myself, I better get myself a class because otherwise I am just never going to see the light of day again. And one night when I was leaving work, I saw a flyer for an introduction to tarot class. And I thought to myself, there's my class. So I
Yeah.
started studying tarot. And
Mm.
in the tarot deck, the cards have numbers. So there was my introduction to numerology. And there are colors in the card. So I work with color. And there are symbols in the card, which kind of led to me creating my own charm kit. And then I started speaking at conferences. And I remember meeting a fellow speaker at lunch one day. He was a palm reader. And he said to me, I was just talking about palmistry and I didn't know a lot about palmistry. And he's like, I teach a class on this. He goes, you should take my class. And I was like, yes, I should. And I took his class and now I read palms. So it's like, I feel as though maybe my entry when I was a young girl was about astrology, but even the tarot cards, every tarot card has an astrological association to it. And
Okay.
if you know what this, this planet and this sign means, you're like, oh, like that's the energy of this card, which makes it make so much more sense. So I feel as though the more I studied, the more everything made sense to me. And so
Yeah.
now my work is like one big Venn diagram. I feel as though when I do a reading, I work off my intuition. I use the tarot cards. I use the numbers. I use the colors. I use the symbols. I use the astrological associations. And I use my coaching
Yeah.
because a lot of times people come to me and they say, oh, I don't have an answer. So you, as the tarot reader or as the intuitive guide, you must have the answer for me. And I
Mm.
feel as though that is where we kind of have a little bit of a mismatch in understanding of the work that I do because I don't feel it is my job to give you the answers. And
Mhm.
just as like when you coach with someone, like I'm not here to feed you, answers to things the way that I see them. Because you know what? Whether I'm your tarot reader or your coach, or you've met me, maybe relatively recently, but you have spent your entire life living with you. So who knows you better than you? So why would you come to me looking for answers when you have all of the tools and all of the knowledge, the experience, the wisdom? You've lived this amazing life and you know the answers better than everyone. So I use all of these tools to direct you back to where
Nice.
the answers are, which
Nice.
is right here in your heart,
Very,
in
yeah.
your gut, and
Nice.
in your body.
I love that. Why would you, right, come to me for answers when you have all of them within you? And that's exactly it's like a midwife. It's like a midwife that helps you birth, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I just heard and that's what coaching is anyway, too, is coaching is helping, the client come up with their answers by the questions you ask, and then of course some guidance here and there. So
Exactly. And
Yeah.
also, like, so what value are you standing on? So, like, if you think that, so what value are you associating with?
Yeah.
Because now we know, like, what's important to you. And another thing that I do in my work is like we work on what I call a life purpose statement.
Hmm.
And a lot of times people, like, for example, if you grew up in a family of lawyers,
Hmm.
maybe it was always thought to you, you're like, oh, well, I guess I'm going to have to be a lawyer. Not that I want to be a lawyer, but because my parents are lawyers and my siblings are lawyers, and then like everybody's expecting me to do this thing, and then you follow it, but it's not a match
Hmm.
for how you want to live. And so I feel that, who knows better than you, and making choices that honor the path that you want to take. So the life purpose statement
Yeah.
helps kind of
Yeah.
clarify. Like I did my life purpose statement, I think back in 2018.
Mm.
And I don't have the exact wording of it, but the idea of it is that I am someone that shines the light. So my job is to lead the way
Nice.
and shine the light and
Yeah.
say, here is an option. This path is an option. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that work for you? Kind of
Yeah, it
thing. And
really strengthens it. It goes to what we were talking about strengthening that muscle.
that
It's
muscle.
helping people really, especially women, to really, exercise instead of looking outside, look within.
Yes.
Look within.
Yes. And
Okay.
I and I and my goal is to teach you how to read your signals, how to
Mm.
see the patterns, how
Yeah.
to notice your just the way that you keep showing up and be like, "Oh, I didn't realize," because like sometimes what I'll do is I'll repeat something that a client says back to me. Like I was talking to a client the other day and they were talking to me about making a choice. And
Mhm.
then my client said to me, well, I'm not very good at making decisions. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. I said, is that what you tell yourself? And
Yeah.
they're like, what? And I said, that
That
you're
you
not
don't.
good at making
Yeah.
decisions.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're like, did I say that? I said, yes, you did. I just repeated what you said, kind of thing. So I said,
Yeah.
sometimes people don't hear what they
Yeah.
say.
For
And
sure.
that's the problem is like, this is what we tell ourselves in our head.
I
And then
know.
what happens is we wonder why we have self-doubt, why we don't trust ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's because we have this conversation, this script that I call it, that's in our head. And what I want to do is I want to reconnect them with what's true so they can rewrite the script and live differently.
Beautiful. I love that. Beautiful. Okay. So probably your joy, like I look at it as, it's where success leaves clues. Just like when I asked you what does all your joy mean?
Yeah.
So what brings you in your work, right, the most joy?
Okay. Well,
Hmm.
watching someone realize they already knew. You
Yeah.
can see it happening. So they stop looking at me for the answer and they reconnect with themselves. And then their whole body changes. So that matters to me because I'm not interested in creating dependence. If somebody leaves feeling like they need me more,
Oh,
then I failed. So my
yeah.
job is not to be the answer, it's to help people trust their own answers.
Very
So
good.
that
Yeah.
moment is everything. So
I love
that brings me joy.
that does bring you joy. So share a client story.
Okay.
Let's hear
All right.
it.
So I have a client who she was having trouble trusting herself.
Hmm.
And anyway, and at the same time, she was looking for a new apartment. She was looking to move somewhere. And I went through kind of all the trials and tribulations of her looking for the apartment, and she finally found the apartment and she moved in. And she was saying that when she moved all of her stuff in, and then she came back later that day and she noticed that a few of the things in her apartment had been moved. Like maybe the super or somebody from the building that had a key had come in and moved a few of her things. And she was like, that makes me feel uncomfortable.
Hmm.
And anyway, but she was having a problem, I think, with like a light or something, like a fixture in her apartment. So she did tell the super that something needed to be fixed. So she's like, okay, maybe I'm just being dramatic, maybe I'm just overreacting, kind of thing.
Mm.
Anyway, so she went back out again. When you're moving into an apartment, you need to go to to Target a million times to get all the things that you need. And so she went out and she came back and she
Mhm.
said that when she walked in onto her hallway, her apartment door was wide open.
Oh no.
And so I don't, she's like, first she said it felt like something had been moved. And then she tried to like tell herself it wasn't a big deal, which her body was saying, this feels like a big deal. And then she called me. She said, Dina, she said, I do not feel safe in this apartment.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I hear what you're saying. And then I said to her, what are you going to do?
Mhm.
She said, I am not living here. She said, I'm going to find a new place. And she literally, like, she made it happen in like 5 days.
Wow.
She spoke to the apartment building. She said, I'm not living here. I
Yeah.
know that I signed a lease, but this, and this.
Yep.
And she found a new place. And she said it was the best decision she had ever made. And she said, if I wasn't working with her at the time, she probably would have been uncomfortable, but not said something.
Wow. That's very empowering.
And
Very.
I said to her, all I feel for you right now is pride. I said,
Yeah.
I am
Yeah.
smiling ear to ear.
Yeah.
And I said,
Yeah.
my work is done.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Yeah, that's a great example. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's explore intuition in your business. I mean, you're a walking, intuitive like I am, but it's
Yeah.
always good to hear behind the scenes, just a little example of, yeah, how do you use intuition in your actual day-to-day work with you, not clients. We heard about clients, but
Yeah.
you and running your business.
Yeah. So, I mean, I use my intuition all the time,
Hmm.
every day.
Yeah, oh
You
yeah.
know, so it's like when people hear the word intuition, they often picture candles or
I
like
know.
dramatic spiritual moments. That sounds nice, but it's not necessarily how it is for me. Most of
Yeah,
the time, it's practical. It's who I say yes to.
yeah.
It's what opportunities I move toward. It's what I know I need to walk away from. It's how I guide a client. It's how I protect my time and my energy. So, intuition is often just your body knowing the truth
Mm.
before your mind can explain it. So, people think that intuition is a gift, but what I think it's a relationship.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
And like any relationship, it gets stronger when you actually listen. So, the problem is that most people trust the loudest voice,
Mm.
not the truest one. And as we mentioned before, fear is loud, intuition is steady. So if you can trust that steady, like, confident feeling within you, it will turn to courage and soon it will become your second nature.
I love what you just said. So say that again about the loudest.
Fear is loud,
Yep.
intuition is steady.
Hmm.
And that distinction really changes everything.
That's it. That's a good barometer, everybody. Right? Is again, there's this urgency with fear and our mind, ego mind, and it feels loud.
Yes.
You know,
And
when,
it's your saboteur talking,
yeah,
and it's all like, all, and it's kind of like all of the negative
yeah,
things.
yeah,
And that fear, I feel like is negative because it's trying to protect you. Like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
don't take that opportunity.
yeah.
Or, what if it's not safe? Well, what if it is safe? What if it's the
Mhm.
best thing you ever did?
Yeah, right. I love it. Yeah, and intuition is steady. It's very calming. Okay. So yeah, I mean you live it is that you just, like you said, you know what to say yes to. I mean, even something as simple as sending an email to somebody or right, or choosing to do this instead of this. So
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, and what I say in my email is like I'm like it takes me like I feel like I don't just fire off an email. I mean, maybe to
Yeah.
my mom or something like that. But it's like when I'm sending an email,
Mhm.
I write it and then I read it. I want to make sure that it's intentional, that
Yes.
it's clear, that I'm getting, what my feeling or thought or the message that, the reason why I'm sending it is coming across in the right way. Like I
Yeah.
really try to be, very intentional
Yeah,
with
that's
everything I do.
beautiful. Of course you do. Okay, let's have you share a story around when in your life, which you somewhat said this already, and maybe elaborate a little more on it, is that when you, of course, listen to your intuition, it created a joyful result. So it's just another example of listen to your intuition, not right the logic, and it changed your life.
It changed my life. Let's see. Um, well, I mean, I'll go with this is kind of I'm not sure if this is the right story, but I'll let you know. So I live in New York City, as you mentioned,
Okay.
and in New York City, the high school system, like to get into a high school, you have to apply like you are applying to college.
Wow.
And for the
Really?
kids in New York City, it is very stressful, very, very stressful.
High school?
High school, high school.
Wow.
Yes,
The
yes.
public school system. They don't just go
Public.
to school?
Yes. No, they don't just get, there is no neighborhood high school. You have to
Oh,
apply, and based
okay.
on your grades and tests that you've taken, it's a
Wow.
whole thing.
Huh.
And the system mostly works, but it just happened that for one of my daughters,
Hmm.
when it came time for her to get her match, when we opened up my email that's saying where she would get matched to, the email said, "You got no match."
Oh,
So all of my daughter's friends are getting matches and they're all, aflutter with telling each other where they're going to school. And my daughter's basically it's like the my version of Charlie Brown getting a rock in
oh my
in his trick or treat
system
bag.
error. It's got to be a system error.
So, and it was like I mean it was stressful for her, so therefore it became even more stressful for me. Anyway, I literally I mean I was doing everything possible, and ultimately it did work out. But I want you to know that I was in a real moment, and I was like I was calling everybody that I could call. I was setting up appointments. I mean, I was really just doing anything possible to
Hmm.
make this, to fix this.
Okay.
And but it seemed like it was not a quick fix, and there was going to need to be, there was going to be time, and it did take about 3 months, which was a very stressful 3 months.
Wow,
But
that's a long time.
and I got to a place where I was like, you know what? I need something. I need something to keep me going here. I need something to tell me, like, am I doing the right things? Is there
Okay.
something else that I should be doing? And as you know, I'm a tarot reader, and
Hmm.
people are like, you believe in that? I said, I do. I do, which is why when I was feeling so anxious, I was thinking, I need to pull a card. I need to pull a card on this. I just want to get some insight. I want to get some information here. What should I do? And I was a little bit anxious because I felt like if it didn't work out how I wanted to, like I'm like, I can't put that card away. Once I see it, it's done. I can't unsee it. But so I asked the cards, what's going to happen in this
Yeah.
situation? Like, is
Yeah.
she going to get a high school placement? Is it going to work out?
Yeah.
And I shuffled the cards. I did my whole ritual. And the
Yeah.
card that I pulled was the sun.
As in the sun in the sky.
The sun in the sky. And
Okay.
I'm sitting here with my tarot deck in front of me. I'm going to see if I can pull it up for you while we're talking. And to me, there is no more positive card in the
Oh.
deck. Like to me, this was like, it is going to be okay. It may not be okay right now, but it is going to be okay. And as it worked out, it was a very fortuitous turn of events that happened, and my daughter did get a very good high school placement. This is the Sun card.
Oh, very good.
So it was a very happy card.
Okay.
And but once I saw that, my whole body
Relax.
relaxed. And I said, okay.
I got the clue. I got the okay, you're in there going the right direction.
I got the message.
Fabulous.
So, and I said to my daughter, I can't tell you exactly how it's going to play out. I
Yeah,
said,
sure.
but we're going to be okay. I said, so this is a marathon. It's not a sprint, and
Yeah.
I need you to trust me. And we made it. We made it to the
Yeah,
end, but
you
it was
made it.
very, and so I do feel as though there are, if you're looking up, like sometimes you'll see, another little story is I was walking to Central Park one day. I live not too far from Central Park, and somebody was coming my way from the park, and they said, "Oh my God, there's an eagle in the tree in Central Park." And I'm like, so me and this stranger are like looking at the eagle in the tree, which is an unusual sight in
Sure.
Central Park.
Yeah.
And then, as I rounded the corner and passed a magazine stand, there was an eagle on the front cover of a magazine. So I'm like, that's weird. I just saw an eagle, and now there's an eagle on the front cover of this magazine. And then,
Oh,
maybe like about an hour later, I was passing by a bookstore, and there was a book in the store in the window with an eagle on it.
no.
And I thought to myself, that is weird. I don't see eagles that often.
All in the same time frame.
Correct. So then I thought to myself, what is the message? Like
Yeah,
what
yeah,
and, and,
yeah.
and I felt like, you know what, eagles are strong.
Mhm.
They're, and I feel as though I understand that they may be a little bit predatory in their, but it's like, it's the survival of the fittest out there, and they are kind of like on the top of the food chain a little bit. And I just felt as though maybe it's time to take control. Maybe it's time to make a decisive move,
Hmm.
kind of thing. And so anyway, it was just like sometimes like you don't have to have a tarot deck. You don't have to have, astrology knowledge or know numerology to see a message and
Yeah,
take something from it.
yeah.
So I feel as though that's just an extra little story that like as you move through the world, pick your head up from your phone. Pay attention to what is happening in the world around you, and it's because it's speaking to you. There's really a lot to be learned out there.
Mm-hmm. No, isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Interesting story. Wow, especially the one about your daughter. Okay, so where can listeners, where can Follow Your Joy listeners find you on social and website? And then, of course, and I'll be putting this obviously in the show notes. And then tell us a little bit about your book.
Yeah. So my website and where people can find me is Dina Berrin. So my website is dinaberrin.com.
Okay.
My social media, I am on Instagram as Dina Berrin, and I have a YouTube channel where I talk about
Hmm.
all things tarot, and that is
Fabulous.
also under my name. And my book, which I self-published, is
Oh,
called The Way Within: Igniting Your Intuition with Sacred Tools.
okay.
And this is a guide to help you tune into your intuition and trust yourself more deeply. And in the book, I share stories, simple tools. Like I talk about three of my tools. I talk about tarot, numerology, and charms. And I give you exercises that can make it a little bit easier for you to, first of all, understand this modality. And second of all, listen to your inner voice so you can make choices that
Hmm.
feel right for you. So whether you're looking for more clarity, confidence, or just a stronger sense of direction, this book is meant to support you on that journey. It's for all levels, definitely for beginners, and you
Beautiful.
can find it on Amazon by the book title or if you put my name in.
Okay. Well, we'll have a link down below. Thank you for that.
Yes, thank you.
Of course. And you're also on LinkedIn.
I'm on LinkedIn
Okay, good.
as yes, and under my name, and I'm
Okay.
on Facebook, but I am mostly on Instagram, YouTube, and and sign up for my free newsletter. You can go to my website, and I have my free newsletter, which I
Newsletter,
put
yeah.
out weekly, and it tells you all the things that I'm up to.
So, okay. So also you have something to offer, and what we'll do is in the portal of joy, which I think you're aware of.
I love that
Isn't
portal of
that
joy.
cool? So this is where they can access it. So, but tell us what is the gift?
So it is it's called the Tarot Coach Approach.
Okay.
And if you have a hard time making decisions,
Mm,
what this is it gives you my approach using skills that I use to read the cards and, basically paying attention, but it gives you some prompts
okay.
and maybe a new perspective, a new way for you to see how you could possibly get an answer that could serve you in the best way possible.
Nice. Okay, terrific. Because the subtitle, everybody, is Three Easy Steps for How to Use Tarot as a Tool to Get Fast Answers.
Yeah.
So yeah, in the Portal of Joy, as you know, there's a link in the show notes that will take you to it's where we house all of our guests' free gifts. So all I have to do is enter in a name and an email. You know the drill. And you will then go right into this beautiful page that's got not only Dina's tarot, coach approach download, but all the others. So have at it. There's lots of fantastic, expert stuff in there, downloads and gifts and discounts and you name it. Okay. But that's where you find Dina's. How fun is that? Free guide. And, yeah, okay. I think we're good. I think
Thank you.
we're good. Yeah, so appreciate this. Again, we can have, so much longer of a conversation because this is just having the tool, as you've explained it, having the tool of intuition cannot be talked enough about. Cannot be talked enough about.
It's one of my favorite topics. I
Me
feel as
too.
though intuition is a superpower and
Yep.
it is
Yep.
something that everyone possesses. So
Yes.
if you think you don't, I would like to invite you to the Intuition Gym where you can do lots of exercises to make it stronger.
That's good. Yeah. It is your superpower, everybody. It really is. So thank you, Dina. Thank you from all the way from beautiful New York City. And yeah, super glad to have you here.
Love seeing you too. Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Marla.
you're so welcome. And everybody, you heard it. Again, your intuition is your superpower. Certainly don't need to, I keep telling you that every single week. So even if you've already using, by the way, if you're already using your intuition, you can always deepen it. It's not, oh yeah, I already use my intuition. I bet there's another level for you. Okay. Right? There's another level, even more, because I'm always learning more about my intuition. I've never arrived. Okay, terrific, everyone. So thanks for listening in and say hi to Dina on social media. Go in and, opt in for her guide and all that good stuff. And I will be seeing you on the next episode. Be well and be blessed. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone. Hey, thanks for listening. You can find more entrepreneurial stories and resources at marladiane.com. And while you're there, enjoy my free downloads to up-level your business and your life. And Instagram. It's my favorite place to hang out. Let's connect there. If you received inspiration from the episode, I'd sure appreciate a 5-star review on Apple and Spotify. Until next episode, take care.